And Eisenbraun's not even leading.
No. Welcome to Season 2 of the WSRL Championship. We are underway at the moment, lap 3 here at Road America. What a superb track, what a superb race we have in store for you today. Having a few technical issues, but we are bringing you the battle for the race lead at the moment. This is Quinn Braun. Actually, this is not for the race lead. In fact, this is for 8th place. Kansas Gentry trying to find his way past Quinn Braun. My name is Sebastian Bosher-Williams. Alongside me in the virtual production booth is Adam Thompson, but right now, Mike Braun, you are joining us in a great battle underway. LMP2, a little bit of a crazy start. Everybody getting away, though, fairly well. Everybody now trying to find a rhythm at these early phases of the race.
Yeah, Seb, it's good to be back on Season 2. This is going to be another epic season, just like it was last season. I mean, the registration for this class, this season, filled out in 4 days. It only took 4 days to fill up this whole roster, and there's a waiting list. I mean, this isn't crazy. WSRL is in full effect right now, and you could just see it on the track right now, Seb.
Oh, you certainly can, Mike. As we just have a look at all the action headed into Canada corner, one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit. You're currently looking at Michael Hillier in second place. Sorry, it's Diego Eri, isn't it, at the wheel? I wonder what will lie in store for us today. Your current leader is Colin McLean in the LMP2s. He's a newcomer to the LMP2 series. He's had a storming qualifying session, and he leads Shane Larson, the championship winner from 1 season ago. Mike, that's no mean feat, isn't it? Larson was almost undeniably quicker than everybody else on the track, I should say, last season. And to come in and be quicker, Larson, supremely talented.
Yeah, he laid it down last season, and he earned that #1 badge on the side of that car. It looks so good on the side of that Wrong Stuff sponsored car this year. But it looks like we are going to have some more battles for him this year. He definitely is going to have some more challengers. McClellan is definitely showing the way right now, and it's got him by a good half second or so in the 92 car. So it's going to be fun to see some more challengers. There's a few other LMP guys to keep an eye out for. But we'll let the race come around, and we'll see where they're at after that.
So the 92 in the race lead crosses the line to start lap number 4 here in Road America. The first stop in this season. We head to Road Atlanta in a week's time. Michael Hillier, what has happened to him, I wonder? One of our AM drivers, I think, had a bit of an incident. This is heading down into turn 5. That's very late under braking. Hillier not going to be able to get that car slowed down. Actually finds the gravel, and you can see how uneven the surface is there, Mike. So easy to damage the floor. And if you do that, certainly around a track like this, you're going to be suffering with so much pace loss.
Yeah, you damage that front spoiler, that front splitter on the car, and especially with this long front straightaway, you're not going to have the speed that you need to get a good run on these guys. I mean, the big drafting point is obviously the front straightaway, but you have to exit that last turn good, or else you're just screwing yourself up that hill down the front straightaway.
We look at the battle for second place. Diego Eri, Southwell finds his way through. That's for position. You see the number 34 LMP2, Southwell, involved in a first corner collision, so he's very much on a recovery effort today. Diego Eri in second place, starting to really lose contact with first place. Justin Hall runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3. Will that give a little bit of an incentive to Fisher to make the move as we head up now towards turn 5? Another great overtaking opportunity. That Mercedes GT3 used to be very quick in a straight line. It's been patched. Of course, we've had the new iRacing update, haven't we, Mike? The BOP, the balance of performance, has all changed around. Everything looking a little bit more even than it was in the last season. But something that isn't looking so easy and so clean is McLean just lapping away. Larson really falling off the back of the 92.
Yeah, no, but it's good to see a new challenger up at the top of the LMP class. Like we were mentioning earlier, Larson just kind of ran away and hid from everybody, but it looks like he's going to have his hands full this year with Connor. I mean, Connor's fast lap is a 1:48.5. That's 0.2 of a second faster than Shane Larson, and that was their both last lap. So it's going to be fun to see these guys cutting through some lap traffic, and I mean, it's got a full long season to go, so it's still going to be anybody's battle.
We're starting to get our first lap cars of the race. The Porsche neatly gets out of the way for Shane Larson. Larson kicks up a little bit of grass through turns 6 and 7. Now stamps onto the brakes. A little bit of oversteer there for the number 1 car. Barrera, he's in third, coming under pressure from Castile in fourth. EB in lead just behind them as well. So they really have to be aware, be vigilant in this battle for your final podium places. As you head around the carousel, Mike, what a corner we have for you today. The carousel, really tricky, maybe a little bit easier for our LMP2 runners, but if you're in a GT3, I mean, you have to be so careful when it comes to applying the throttle in a very orderly manner.
Yeah, and if you're not too careful in a GT3, you can really over-torch those tires on this track. You can go under braking, lock up the brakes, or as you said, go around the carousel. If you push it too hard, you're going to overheat those front tires a little bit, and it's just going to make your race just a living nightmare. But this track is so epic, and WSRL does a great job on selecting just epic tracks as you watch a drag race down that front straightaway, Seb.
Oh, Castile trying to get past Barrera. Castile on the inside gets the move done. Barrera was so wide on the final corner. They're going to go side by side as we head towards the braking zone of turn 1. Castile brakes late. Can he get the car slowed down towards the apex? Yes, he can, but look at this. Watch in the background. Nick EB getting involved in the battle for third. Brakes so late. Almost runs into the back of Justin Barrera, but manages to avert disaster up ahead. A battling GT3 pack. They're going to go side by side, kicking up grass there was the BMW. That's not what you see. They're going to be 3 wide. Somebody's onto the grass there. That's Barrera. Can he keep it all out of control? Contact in the background between the BMW and the Mercedes. They somehow, Mike, all managed to get away fairly unscathed, and at some points there I thought we were going to witness an absolutely monumental accident, but everybody got away fairly scot-free.
Yeah, that was a pretty hairy incident right there. But as you notice, you got 2 GT3 cars on the track right now, and there's 2 separate numbers on them. This year we have the amateur class and the pro class. The AMs are running the 300 series numbers, and the pros are running the 200 series numbers. So that's one of the big changes for this year is separating the guys into 2 different divisions of GT3, kind of giving the pros a chance to run on their own, and then giving the AMs a chance to battle for something and still be able to be on top of the board.
Yes, certainly. It adds so much diversity to the classes, of course. Real life, we have, pro-am and am categories. Down the inside, looks Welch, tries to get the move done, makes contact with the Mercedes of Emery. Gets away, but that battle continuing to be a little bit fraught, a little bit frisky and very touring car-esque, but that promotes Welch up into 31st place. Next up on his list is Norwood, and that will get him into the top 30. You see the 53 in the background there, making his way past. As we see Justin Lee, the first of the drivers to come into the pits. Mike, that seems very, very early. That's either damage induced or some form of major strategy deviation. Jack Lee, he's going to have to stop at least one more time, right?
Yeah, no, the LMP should have to do a 2-stopper here, where the GT3s only have to do a 1-stopper. So I really think that it might still be a little early for him, just because it's barely 12 minutes down. He might have to do an extra stop, but the GT3s, they'll be able to run a full 1-stopper on this and have no problems.
Your race leader, the 92, McLean, just easing the car through the carousel. It's all gone really perfectly to plan. He's got the pole position and led every lap so far, while drama ensued behind him. He kept his cool and leads. Currently on lap 7, you see cars up ahead of him. He's already lapped up to 12th place in the GT3s. Next up for him is Billy Bowerman, the 302 car. This is Chris Sanchez, one of our pro drivers in the BMW. And Mike, it's so nice to see the BMWs. It felt sort of last season that we didn't get to see them so much. As I was mentioning, the balance of performance is really allowed some of the cars that we don't tend to see so often to be a really good choice. And also, I hear we might actually have a Ford entry. One driver, very brave driver it should be said, has decided to take the Ford for a little bit of an outing.
Yeah, no, it looks like we made some changes in the classes of cars, and we eliminated the McLaren from our division. But you've got Lilac Zier out there in the GT40. It's one of the cars that's just most iconic in the GT3 division, but nobody wants to use it. It is a handful. It is a lot of. It takes a lot to be able to drive that car, and I tip my hat to Lilac for sporting the only GT3 out here. Yeah,
Lilac never shies away from a tricky car. Of course, last season she competed in the McLaren, another infamous car for being very difficult to control on the iRacing platform, but very nice to see the Ford out there. Of course, this was never a real GT3. It was almost invented by iRacing back in the early days just to get a GT3 entry out onto the grid. This is Muro making his way past. This is for positions. He's now up to around 14th place overall, or in the GT3s, I should say. Muro into the braking zone, and you know, these GT3 cars are not really going to be so happy to let Chuck through. He's not a lapped car. There won't be any blue flags. It's all about getting the moves done of your own accord. Gets past the car though. Before we head to the King, a flat out right-hander. Very much hold your breath and pray that front end has got enough grip. I do believe that Shane Larson has managed to make the move as we see Chuck Muro diving to the brakes, tries to get past a GT3. Shane Larson, though, takes the lead. They're side by side, actually not side by side. Very much McLean under threat. His lead, his record of leading every lap coming very much under threat as they head into turn one. Larson on the inside, McLean trying to hang all the way around the outside as they head through turn one, through the kink of turn two, and Larson has to back out. But that surely must have been a mistake for McLean. Mike, that was a gap of 1.7, almost 2 seconds. It's all fallen away. Larson surely needs to make the move while the iron is hot, as it were, because McLean just seems to be a little bit quicker so far.
Yeah, McClellan it was out in front, and I'm wondering if he just dipped a tire off and dropped back just a little bit. But you cannot give Shane Larson any opening in that door. As we saw last year, any chance that he got, he just ran away. So he could be biding his time right now, but the 2 iRating on both these guys it shows that they're both fast guys. So Larson looks like he might have his hands full this season with McClellan running in the 92 car.
So if you were Shane Larson, you talked about him just sort of staying back for a bit. Do you want to fuel save? If you were at the cockpit of the one car, would you want to save fuel? Would you be thinking of the long game, or is track position king around Road America?
In the first race, you really got to find out what's going on. You got to see what these other competitors are like. If you don't know them, and you're going to have to want to keep pace with him up front. But McClellan was pulling away, or as you said, he had almost a 2-second advantage. So you really want to just, at this first race out, I would just go full guns a-blazing and just run it as hard as you can. As you see Bradley Alvis making a move. And in the Porsche, there's quite a few Porsches. We're talking about, the balance of power and cars in the division, but there's quite a few Porsches this season, which we did not see very many last year at all.
Yeah, Porsche, very much, I think, the most popular GT3 entry in this season so far. McLean, Larson, Castile, EB, and Barrera all heading to the pit lane. So LMP2 pit stops underway at this point. Simek, the 300 car, just going a little bit wide through Canada Corner. I think caught the 296 a little bit off guard as we see the move to the inside. This isn't for position. That Simek being lapped by Leon Clover. So Clover, after being overtaken by Alvis, as you mentioned, Mike, now getting past the lapped car of Ben Simek.
It looks like everybody is getting down into a good groove right now. Everybody's being respectful and moving out of the way. At least what we're seeing on the camera. But as you see, Larson jumping back out in front. I wonder if lap traffic got into a play in that, because that's going to be a huge thing right now. Look at all those GT3 cars that they're trying to get through, Seb.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a little bit of experience showing for Larson. Larson has made many crucial pit stops last season. That was McLean's first one of his WSRL career. Larson leads, tries to get past all of this traffic. Next one up, Brian Hoffman. Can he make the move? That's a very late send from McLean there. Almost contact between your leading pair of LMP2s. They both managed to get past as they head onto the brakes. Up to the uphill braking zone, I should say, of turns. Oh, big spin in the background there. Larson off the track. Huge drama. Larson got huge amounts of damage. You see the rear end being pushed up. There's lights flashing in the background. I do believe that's Jarachetsky trying to make his case for Hoffman to move aside. Mike, what went wrong?
He just looks like he just sucked the tire off in the dirt there and just went completely left, and Larson was just in a bad place at a bad time, and that's one of the problems with running with split level, multi-class cars, is sometimes your ability levels of the other class is not where you're at. Oh, and he clips another car.
Larson, 2 mistakes in 1 lap. Could maybe put the case forward that first mistake wasn't Larson's, but Larson, I think, being a little bit caught out there by Hoffman's pace. I apologize. I think I called Hoffman was involved in that earlier incident. Well, he's not. Was that Larson making contact again? There's a car off the track. Is that Sanchez sent spearing off towards the barrier of turn 14? It was Sanchez falling like a rock. Oh, there's a spin in the background between an LMP2 and a Lamborghini. I think that's Muro. Sanchez, is he going to get tapped by Larson? He did. So that's Larson's 3rd impact of the lap, let alone the race. And then Sanchez is going to rejoin the track, and then we're going to see a Lamborghini go a little bit wide, a little bit of a misunderstanding. Mike, I think that's got to be, and there's a little bit of almost a pedestrian accident. Is Sanchez going to be able to avoid all of the kerfuffle on the pit entry? I think he just about managed to do. But Mike, that wasn't only one of the craziest laps I think I've ever commentated on, but the craziest lap we've ever had in WSRL, and Shane Larson has to take quite a lot of the blame for that.
I don't even know what to say. I jinxed it. I made a comment about how everybody was making a good, being peaceful and making good passes, and then all of a sudden all hell broke loose. And within a half a lap, not even a full lap, it was like a half a lap of the track, and we saw like 5 cars off the track spinning and hitting the wall. I have no idea what the heck just happened.
Very, very strange happenings here at Road America. So let's recap and see what's going on. So McLean still is your race leader, now by a very comfortable margin, some 8.2 seconds. Larson carrying fairly substantial damage, would be even more now after those 2 further impacts he made on the preceding lap. So EB up to 3rd. He's now starting to catch up to Larson, but Larson might just be able to hold that gap. Barrera in 4th. Southwell close for company in 5th place. Then you got Castile in 6th, all coming through Canada corner at the moment. Then we have Benjamin 7th. Braun in 8th place. Condell in 9th, about 4.6 seconds off Braun. And Kansas Gentry rounds out your top 10 in the LMP2 class. And then Will Coffey, 13th place on the track. I believe that Will did not take the start of the race, chose to start from the pits, and maybe that was a little bit sensible, Mike, I wonder. Andrew Gadarik in 12th place with Jack Lee 13th. He's on very much of a recovery drive. Damien Bank in 14th place, the number 5 entry. A very good photo there. I wish I had photos like that to put on my SDK driver profile, Mike. I think all of my photos would not be anywhere near as smart as any of these that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, I don't want to see it either, Seb. But just speaking of the LMP class, we doubled in volume in the LMP class from season 1 to season 2. So it's good to see so many guys running the LMP class. And we actually had some of the GT3 guys transition over. Andrew Gajdarek, up into the 11th spot right now, was in our GT3 class last year. And then Zach Rosar is a new member of the league. He's a couple laps down right now. Looked like he may have had a problem earlier, but a lot of new guys coming in, and some of the GT3 guys just jumping up. Joshua Benjamin, another one that jumped up into the LMP class. So it's good to see some new names.
I think Zach Rosar not currently on the track. I wonder if he has retired from this race. Very sad to see. It's not what you want your debut race to end up. We see another driver coming into the pit. Wayne Castillo. Oh, spinner in the background there. That's on the exit of turn 5. That's going to be a very dangerous place. That's Bjorn Stange in the Mercedes GT3. The 325 car enters turn 5. Oh, it's just taken a little bit too much speed in. Holds the brakes very nicely. Porsche has to apply a little bit of avoidance maneuvers to avoid any form of accident. Oh, and now Mike, the heart just sinks watching Bjorn just there, as he knows all of these positions fall away. He'll be able to recover. He's done well to not ending up having a bigger accident or causing anybody else to lose out. But I mean, it's just so heartbreaking when you see all of those cars just rush past you.
Yeah, Bjorn did the right thing, though, as he sat there and just waited. He watched his relative to see when the opening was, because you see so many guys just dump the clutch and try to spin the car around to get going again and try to not lose so many places. But he did the right thing and actually waited for everybody to get by.
As we see the first of our GT3 pit stops, Hall, Castro, Fisher, your top 3 all into the pits for the first time. So GT3 stops underway. So the strategic element of this race very much coming into play. Shane Larson, the number 1 car, limping around with that damage. Mike, you said it's going to be a 2-stop for the LMP2. Do you think when Larson's going to come in, he's going to have to repair the damage to his car? And if so, do we think... Oh, Larson, I think, is off the track. There he is, spinning. EB heads through. So does Justin Barrera. Larson's race goes from bad to worse. And I think that question that I was just about to pose to you, Mike, is going to answer itself. He's going to have to come into the pits and repair the damage. This is Nicholas Norwoods. Is he going to make contact with Larson? Yes, he is. Norwood. Mike,
you don't know. I'm just floored right now with everything that's happened to Larson. I mean, it's been one thing after another, and it's almost to a point where he just needs to come in and do the quick repair and suck up a third pit stop, because he's lapping almost 5 seconds slower than, almost 4 seconds slower than your leader McClellan. And at one point you have to think, is it worth coming in for a fast repair, fix it, and go back out and gain the time without limping around for the next pit stop? But the next pit stop's probably not going to be for another almost 10 minutes. So he's just limping around right now in the 4th spot. I mean, it's good battles everywhere else as your leader's coming around, but I don't know I just don't know what to say about what's going on with poor Larson this race.
No, Larson seems to, be having a huge turn of luck. Of course, last season's champion, quite dominant in the end. The Lamborghini, the 20th place, just making life a little bit difficult for your race leader, Colin McClellan. 92 makes his way neatly through Canada corner, as you see the gap between himself and the GT3 traffic extending. Just goes to show the power that LMP2 has over the GT3s. McClellan, I thought he was going to dive off into the pits, but he's just getting past the 19th place BMW. Nick Eby in 2nd. That battle really heating up now between Eby and Barrera. Don't count out Larson as well, but I think he's going to have to come into the pits, take a fast repair, and then use that pace towards the end of the race itself. And, knowing Shane Larson's race, Mike, we need to be so careful, and that, I think, might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Larson, with admittedly a great save, has decided to come into the pits, take that fast repair. he's going to have to stop again, isn't he, Mike? Because we've got, 18 minutes left of racing. I don't think he's got enough fuel to go all 18 minutes.
He might be able to pull it off because we saw them come in at about the 16, 17-minute mark on the first stop. So he might be able to pull it off. It's going to be curious to see. He probably have to draft anybody and everybody on the track to try to milk the mileage a little bit more. But it should be interesting to see what he does.
So how would you fuel save? I mean, give the viewers a little bit of an insight when we talk about, fuel saving. How easy is it to do in a racing situation?
It takes a talent because it depends on the wheel you have and the system you have. Because on some wheels you have a clutch system that you can actually shift in the clutch, and what you do is about the last 400 feet or so of the back straightaway or one of the straights, you just push in the clutch, and that way the engine's not revving up at 7,000 RPMs. It's just coasting, but you're still keeping your speed up, and then you get into your braking zone. But if you don't have a clutch system, you have to lift off, and you just lift early. But man, look at this battle come down the front straightaway.
Contact there between the 32nd place and the 29th in GT3. That's Billy Bowerman, your leader in GT3, and getting involved. This is a lapped position, so it's Hillier and Emery that Bowerman has to navigate. Blue flags should be at least assisting him a little bit, but Emery and Hillier almost taking each other out on the entrance to turn one. Bowerman tries to slipstream past the Mercedes. That will help his fuel economy, but will not help his heart rate, as Jake Luther, the second place in GT3, is currently about 6 or so seconds behind Bowerman. I think our timing stands out having a little bit of an issue. He's not 3.9 miles away, unless they'd be driving some pretty rapid machinery. But Luther second, what can he do? He's got the overall race leader behind him. And Mike, you talked about the art of fuel saving. There's also an art about letting a faster car through. Luther doing exactly what he needed to do, signaled very clearly, didn't he, to McLean just to get out of the, just to say, you can come through, I'm going to head to the inside. And it's sort of this body language of the car, and if you can master it could just help your race so much.
Yeah, you have to work together as a team on the track, and when you got faster cars coming by, I mean, I've known people to actually just tap on the brakes to do a little flash of lights to let the guy behind know that he's ready for you to go by. But a lot of times the lead car that's coming up on you, the faster car, will give you a little flash and say, hey, I'm going to make a move right now, and that way you're ready for them when they come in, and you're not surprised when they come dive bombing you in.
As we see Bowerman now getting the same lapping treatment, he pulls towards the slipstream of the LMP2, so he wants as much benefit as possible. So I wonder if that's a little bit of an indication that Bowerman is going for a little bit of a fuel save strategy. There's a massive gaggle at the moment. You see on your screen Justin Hall, your GT3 overall race winner, Augustine Castro second. And right behind is Fisher in third, gaining into the braking zone of turn 5. Everybody survives very nice and cleanly, but Fisher looking to get past Castro. That battle been brewing for a few laps now. I thought Fisher was going to have a little bit of a look down the inside into turn 5. Mike, wasn't to be. I'll tell you what, don't count out Diego Airy. He's in fourth, another dark horse in this race. What can he do in that BMW? And that BMW is a good car, isn't it, Mike? It's been a little bit nerfed in the patch, but it's tyre wear. I mean, everything about it is just really solid. So do you think we might see Diego Airy, as the race gets into its final stages, be a little bit quicker and maybe getting back up into those podium places?
Yeah, it's weird seeing Diego in a BMW. For all the time that I've known him, he's always ran a McLaren or an Audi or some weird, mid-engine car. But his BMW looks sharp on the track right now. And like you said, you don't want to count him out. He's not too far back. I mean, your top 4 cars are separated by less than 3 seconds right now in the pro class. And so, I mean, it's still anybody's battle with 13 minutes still to go. It's still a long race to go.
Still a huge amount of racing to go, and if we've seen anything today, those 30 minutes could be filled with a lot of action, a lot of intrigue, and you certainly should not go anywhere. Barrera has made his way up into second place. He's got past Nick Eby, so they've swapped around because it was Barrera chasing Eby for what seems like the entirety of the race so far, and Eby unable really to respond. Aubrey Kundell, he's in 8th at the moment. The 53 car not really been Kundell's race, always been on the back foot, and he's got 20 seconds between himself and Southwell, so not really likely to be fighting for 7th, but will be likely to be fighting to hang on to his 8th place. Will Coffey right behind him. Coffey very much doing the last to first, or the last to somewhere challenge. Started from the pits, finds himself at the moment in 9th place, fighting, I should say, for 8th. I think Gadarik is off the track, falls down, loses a position. I think Larson finds his way up into 3rd. Eisenbraun, I think, comes into the pits. Gadarik, wow, that's on the exit of turn 8. Very unusual, Mike, to see a car end up there, and that is a very damaged Dallara LMP2 car.
Yeah, this track is unforgiving if you get any tire off the track, and he just came out of that turn and sucked that right rear tire off, and it just went circling around. But I mean, as we were talking earlier, this is one of the most iconic tracks in the game. There's so many different kinds of turns as they're coming around the carousel right now. As we were talking earlier, the GT3s, you have to really feather the throttle around, but the LMP's cars, you just get pinned down with all that aerodynamics that those Dallaras have. It just holds them down to that groove, and you just pin it all the way down this whole section to get a good run.
The Rodriguez being lapped by 2nd and 3rd in the LMP2 class. Eby now back into that slipstream range of Barrera. Barrera got a little bit of lapped traffic. That's Bowerman, gets past him on the entrance to turn 13, but Eby has had a better run of traffic. He's going to try and send it down to the inside. McLean into the pits, your race leader, and so is your 2nd and 3rd. It's McClellan. I do apologise. I will get better. Well, I say that every time, don't I, Mike, that I'll get better at pronouncing names. One time, you'll be able to prove me right, but I think today is probably not one of those. Barrera, Eby, Southwell, all into the pits, and now we can really see where does Shane Larson come out in all of this. He's taken his fast repair. He's been quicker. He's been lapping fairly well so far. McClellan out of the pits. Barrera and Eby soon to follow. Larson really needs a good final sector.
Yeah, he's still lapping at the high. Oh, the car right in front of him. Oh my goodness! Having to make an evasive move down the pit lane.
I think Larson, you're right. He had to avoid the spearing GT3 heading towards him, and Larson has ended up into the pits. It's like a self-induced drive-through penalty. So that's Kenneth Michael. So he's obviously had a spin, had a heavy contact with the wall. I think he's already at that point made contact, or Larson's already gone by him. So Michael, so he's run wide, heavy hit to the inside. And Larson, he's got to take some form of award for the most unluckiest driver, I think, on iRacing, let alone this race. I mean, I've never seen it. Larson comes into the pit box. I mean, I guess if you're in the pits, you might as well stop for good measure, but I don't think Larson was intending to grace the pit lane with his presence.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, it looked like he may have started to do it, but then he saw Michael spinning out in that area, and he may have thought better, and he's like, oh, heck with it, and just came in, and you could see him just barely clip it, and hopefully it didn't cause too much damage, because I believe he already used his fast repair the last time he went through. So it's definitely, like you said, a race for him to forget, but it's a long season, so you still want to be out there and get your points. Whenever you can get points in a race, you want to keep them going, and you just got to keep going. Never know what's going to happen later on down the season.
It certainly is not the way that Larson would like to start out his campaign to retain his title. Paul, however, is doing a superb job. It's fair to say, currently in the lead by about 1.1 seconds. Augustine Castro slowly starting to reduce the arrears between himself and Hall, but Fisher keeping Castro for company. Diego Airy not too far off in fourth. It very much seems that anybody really in the top four could win this race, although if you had to bet on anybody, I don't think you could really go wrong with Justin Hall. Southwell is heading into the pits, so that's his second stop. Southwell, another driver to really do very well on his fuel mileage. That might just help him out in the battle for fifth. We will have to see on that one. Fisher in third. Mike, what would you, I always ask you this, but I always like to get your opinion. What would you do if you were Fisher? Is Road America a track that, you know, if the opportunity arises itself, you have to take it, you have to overtake, or do you wait until the final lap to surprise the driver ahead of you?
Well, for me, this track is I just attack. There's really no patience on this track. You have to go after it and go and get the car in front of you. As you see Fisher coming up on a lapped car, he wants to get away from him as fast as he can and get back up to Agustin Castro. But, you know, here's some guy that we might know from last season. He actually is out there gracing us on the track this season, Seb. I mean, look at that profile picture. I mean, geez, does that say Tinder or not?
I mean, you know, we've had beard comparisons on the broadcast last season, and Dre, I think, it's got to be up there with the best beard in the sim racing business. I mean, Dre's had a superb race so far. He's up 14 places in class, 17 overall, so not a bad first outing for the Porsche GT3 driver. What can he do? I wonder. There's a car off the track. That's Hillier, so that's not a position gained, but Michael Hillier not having really a superb race. Angeliquio, I've just seen disconnecting from the session, so another name, Mike, that we've become accustomed to hearing, not faring so well in the debut of season 2. As we see Accord now heading into the pit, so the first GT3 driver to actually to take 2 pit stops. I wonder if we might see more drivers who maybe haven't managed their fuel so wisely, having to come in to make a splash and dash. Will Coffey, on the other hand, I don't think we'll have to do anything of the sort. Just lapping away in 8th at the moment.
Yeah, it's good to see our other admin for the wrong stuff out there. So we got both guys out there this season. Will ran last season and did pretty good in his first time in an LMPs. And Dre just decided that it was his turn to come out and race with us as well. So it's good to see both guys running it, getting to enjoy the fruit of their labor, because they both have put in so much time and so much work into this league, and it shows. Like we mentioned earlier, the registration sold out in 4 days. I mean, that's just a testament to how much work that Dre and Will have put into this league, and getting it promoted and just brought to life. I mean, they've done a fantastic job, Seb.
I mean, not only have they done a spectacular job with creating the league and the racing, but all of the ancillary words are very hard at this time of the night, I do assure you, but they've got a WSRL magazine, a digital magazine that you can actually get a real physical copy of. I recommend having a look. If you want to have a look at the Discord, do. It's superb. I can definitely attest to that. I mean, what an incredible league, and it just goes to show how well liked it is. 4 days to sell out this league, and you know, some leagues struggle to get 10-20 drivers on the field, and currently we have 52 in the session. Just amazing numbers. Shane Larson is out on the track, a driver who I think will attest that he absolutely adores the WSRL league, but won't be, I think, Mike, adoring this particular race. How do you strike back? We've got obviously a race next week, Road Atlanta. Do you just have to completely forget about this race, or do you think Larson will go away, almost analyse this race, learn from it, and then try and sort of make sure that he doesn't make or repeat the same mistakes that have befallen him today?
Well, I mean, the first issue that he had was with that lap car that just by chance hooked right in front of him, and I think that threw him off, and then he let the better side of, the wrong side of him get the better of him, and started getting overly aggressive and trying to make moves that he didn't need to, because McClellan is just, at the beginning was giving him a run for his money, and and he wasn't used to that. So, that first mistake that had the lap car cut in front of him, put him in the wall, and then he started driving and overdriving the car and made some mistakes, crucial mistakes, running into the back of a car, things like that. I mean, that happens when you're frustrated and you're trying to get back into the game. As you see him flashing the lights at Agustin Castro, it looks like right in front of him, saying, "Hey, here I come." But hopefully Castro wasn't hoping to go in the pit lane that time, because that would have been bad timing for him, Seb.
Somebody who did go into the pit lane, though, is Justin Hall, your GT3 race leader, or should I say former GT3 race leader. Diego Airy following his BMW counterpart into the pit. So I wonder, will we see Castro and Fisher having to do the same, having to come into the pits for a splash and dash, or can they eke their fuel out towards the end of this race? 3 minutes and 2 minutes, I should say, and 20 seconds left to go in today's festivities. Agustin Castro, can he get a little bit more fuel mileage out of that Porsche 911 GT3? I wonder. It almost reminds me of being on the motorway and just praying that you don't run out of fuel. Billy Bowerman also into the pits, your leader in the GT3 AM category. So Bowerman unable to make it to the end on just one stop.
Yeah, I was thinking they were going to be able to make it on one stop. So I wondered if he was driving so hard that happened. I mean, as you see, Divac goes by now. Dre just went by him to take over the lead, and we've only got a minute and a half to go. So this could be an interesting battle here at the end. That might be our closest battle to close this race out.
It all comes down to, in both categories, that's Bowerman running ever so wide. The 42, Alan P2, and the 34 having to take avoiding action. They're going to make it 3 wide down the back straight. The 34, that's Southwell and Eisen Braun. That's the battle in LMP2. Oh, that's a late sun there, but a send there by Bowerman. Is he going to be able to get that stopped on the apex? No, he's not. Dre Divac tries to make the move, but has to back out. Mike, do you think there was contact there, or was that Dre being just a little bit cautious? Because that was a send and a half from Billy Bowerman.
Yeah, that was a full send moment there with just a minute to go. Divac may have been playing the safe mode and just trying to stay clean of him. I was a little surprised to see him come jumping down like that, and I think Dre was waiting for him to keep shooting. And then when he was able to make the stop, I think it's really surprised Dre, and he's like just conceded it and gave him the lead.
No, can Dre, I mean, it'd be remarkable if he could finish in second place, but the question is, does he have to come into the pits? Agustin Castro, I'm going to say, I think does have to come in to the pits. Actually, no, he's continued, hasn't he? So Castro chancing his arm, maybe. Has he saved enough fuel? I wonder. Castro has just about been in the slipstream of Hall this entire race, so he would have been able to do the fuel saving like you described, Mike. McClellan, I should say, very close to Simek through the curve. Oh, there's going to be contact between Norwood and Simek. No, Norwood heads off the track. He's going to find the outside barrier, and McClellan almost saw his race flash before his eyes, gets away with it, but that's real heart and mouth stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be a great race for McClellan as they're coming up the hill. Looks like this could be their last lap. Take it, Seb.
It is their last lap. Conor McClellan has led from start to finish, had a little bit of an interruption when Larson, I should say, got past him, but McClellan leads and reigns supreme and will take the opening race win here today. Nick Eby has got ahead of Barrera in all of the chaos heading out on the track, and it's going to be Eby from Barrera, your second and third in the LMP2 class. And then it's all about this battle, really. I should say a battle. It's between an LMP2 and a BMW, so it doesn't quite matter, but Aubrey Condell, a great finish from him, up 3 places from where he started. But Agustin Castro, the shock winner of today's proceedings, he did it in one stop. He was the master of fuel saving. So was this man on your screen. Thomas Fisher is in second place, and Justin Hall, after leading from start to finish, got the pole, had the quickest lap time and the quickest car, you have to say, will have to settle for third place after just gambling a little bit too much on the fuel strategy. Diego Airy as well. Well, in fact, he was 4th earlier on, and he will remain in 4th. So I have to say, it's really Hall that's lost out in all of those pit stops. Christian Gritzko will come across the line in 5th place, although a little bit behind the top 4. Should say that Kundell did get 4th place with Lee in 5th. And Southwell heading across the line in 6th place in the LMP2 class. Matthew Dweeder, that's a name that we haven't really mentioned too much today. Very solid drive from Matthew in the GT3 class. Will come across the line to finish in 7th place, up 6 places. Billy Bowerman will take your GT3 AM win with that great move over Dre. Dre falling down, finishes in 12th overall. But Mike, what a finish and what a win, you have to say, by Agustin Castro.
Yeah, we saw Agustin take a win last season, and it was good to see him out front this season again. He definitely laid it down for him. And is this Eric running out of fuel on the last lap here? We're getting a little push around from Brett, possibly. And then Shane Larson just jumping in front of him for a bearded sandwich, maybe. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't think any of us want to know what was going on there. So Rodriguez, another driver to gamble on fuel. And actually, Rodriguez did make 2 stops. So he has been in for a splash and dash. It didn't take enough to get across the line. So really cutting his margins fine. But Brett Accord, being ever the gentleman, pushes him across the line and allows Rodriguez to take the finish. So drivers really looking out for each other. We should mention, though, that Accord had already finished the race, so it wasn't like he wasn't giving up a position, but Accord there doing the very gentlemanly thing and getting out of the way. And I tell you what, Mike, take us through your opening race results for Season 2.
Man, what a crazy race this was. In the LMP class, you got Connor McClellan taking the win in his first race with us, and Nick Eby finishing in 2nd spot. Justin Dive Bomb Barrera finishing in 3rd. That was a great battle down that front straightaway on that last lap. Aubrey Kundrell finishing in the 4th spot for the wrong stuff. And then you got Jack Lee finishing in 5th. Jamie Southwell in 6th. Quinn Eisenbraun in 7th. Will Coffey finishing in 8th, Damian Benke finishing in 9th, and our champion from last year, Shane Larson, with the Hard Luck Award, basically, finishing all the way down in 10th spot. I mean, that was just definitely a race for him to forget. The rest of the field, you had Wayne Castile in the 11th, Candice Gentry in 12th, Chuck Maru in the 13th spot, Andrew Gaidarek in the 14th spot, Joshua Benjamin in 15th, and then Zach Rosar and Ko Nin finishing in the 17th.
That is your LMP2 field. In the GT3 AM category, Billy Bowerman is your overall race winner. Lilac Zia 2nd place, so the debut and the only Ford GT3. She will finish in 2nd place. That's a great result for her. And you have to say, the Ford machinery, Brett Accord in 3rd with Dre Divac in 4th, Joey Rutledge in 5th place with Stephen Koshko in 6th place, Kevin Medida in 7th, Brandon Johnson 8th, Jake Luther in 9th, and Brett DiGiacomo rounds out your top 10. Zachary Robinson just outside of that ever-crucial top 10. He's in 11th place. Michael Hillier in 12th. Tyler Emery 13th. Kenneth Michael in 14th. Nicholas Norwood in 15th place. I'm not sure, in fact, if we saw him get out of the gravel trap. There was quite the impact there between Norwood. Ben Simek in 16th place. Bjorn Stage 17th. Andrew Charachetsky in 18th place. And Dominic Angelicchio in 19th place, although I believe that he retired fairly early on in today's proceedings. And then in your Pro-Am category, Agustin Castro, what a superb win for him. Thomas Fisher in 2nd place, and almost commiserations to Justin Hall for finishing in 3rd. Diego Airy 4th, Christian Gritzko in 5th place, Leon Clover 6th, Matthew Dweeder 7th, Eric Rodriguez in 8th, Daniel Quiro in 9th, and Brian Hoffman rounding out your top 10. Andrew Welch in 11th place. Eric Letsky 12th. Bradley Elvis 13th with Chris Sanchez alongside him in 14th place. Lilac Zia in 15th place, and Braden and Carroll in 16th. I think they both retired. In fact, Lilac Zia, I think, is in the pro in the AM category, so quite sure who was in the 15th place there. But wow, what a race we had for you today. And I wonder, Mike, should we have a little bit of a chat to your overall race winner? Connor, welcome to the commentary booth. What a superb, debut, really, and a superb race as well. That looked fairly fun out there.
Thank you. It was a bit stressful, I must say. It looked easy, but being in a new field with like lots of new people in the GT3s and P2s as well, it can be a bit nerve-wracking because you don't know how certain people will react or where they'll go, how they'll yield, or if they'll give you space or they'll just hold their line. So it wasn't easy. I had one off, I think, as well, but it was, for the most part, was quite fun. I enjoyed the battle I had briefly with Shane before he had his incident.
Yeah, Shane, unfortunately for him, seemed to have one of the worst runs of luck I think I've ever seen in any race. It was fairly spectacular. I would urge you to go and watch the broadcast. But you said you made a mistake. We didn't quite catch that on the broadcast, but was that what allowed Shane to get up so close behind you and that battle to really start up again?
No, that was just I'd say poor. Either was poor traffic management on my side, or I just got really unlucky with where I caught up. So he managed to just see through the other cars way better than I did. But the mistake I meant was somewhere in the middle, towards the end. I wanted to overtake a GT3, and I braked a bit too late, went to the gravel, but it didn't cost me much time, so it was not noteworthy. Just a shame, just a little taint on the otherwise rather okay performance, I'd say.
I love talking to racing drivers because, if I drove like you did, I think I'd be absolutely ecstatic. But I love the sort of the analysis that's going on already. I very quickly want to talk about, I think it was a lap or so before the end, you were heading, I think, into Canada Corner, and there was a GT3 that got very close to making contact with you. Did you see your race go before your eyes?
Yes, I was. I genuinely clenched up. I'm like, oh shit, this. Sorry, I don't know if this is PG. Apologies. Okay, I saw the GT pull out in front of me. I'm like, oh god, okay. It had to happen at some point, right? Can have a relatively flawless race without something happening. But I knew going into the lap that it didn't have to do like any blistering lap time. So I saw the three cars up ahead, and I know they're doing their own race. So I kind of got off the throttle, and I'm like, okay, whatever happens, I'll just let them do it. I'll be ready to react. And that turned out to be the wise decision.
I was just about to say that was the wise decision and the best decision for your race. Well, congratulations, Connor.
Thank you.
Superb race. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all on the broadcast before we let you go and celebrate?
I will just give a shout out to my team over at Bengal Racing. They don't know I'm doing this league yet, but I might just send over the broadcast and show them and be like, look guys, I did this. See if they'll cheer me on, or if they'll just have a little giggle.
Well, you'd hope it would be the former, but knowing friends and teammates, it will probably be the
latter.
latter.
Bit of banter.
Yes, undoubtedly. Well, thank you so much, Connor, for coming to have a chat with us, and once again,
Gladly.
Congratulations on your race win.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
And you, that was Connor who won your overall race and the LMP2 standings. Mike, have you managed to find some pesky, I think if you are an LMP2 driver, GT3 drivers at all?
Yeah, I think we've got both of the GT3 winners in here. We'll start with the pro winner of Agustin Castro. Agustin, congratulations on winning the first race of the season. We saw you take a win last season. How does it feel to come out of the gate in a brand new season and take a win in race one?
Hey, thank you. First, I want to apologize. I want to say sorry to my team and the league staff because I forgot to set my decal. Yeah, I am pretty happy. The start is a really good way to start the season, and yeah, I don't know. It was a really good race. It was all about save fuel, a lot of fuel, and yeah, that's how I could pass to Hall and I don't remember. Sorry, the picture.
Oh, Diego too is in your class. So you guys are running pro and am now. So the pro class is going to be a lot harder this year. Do you think it's going to be more competition, a tougher competition than last year?
Yeah, for sure. And always it was very equal, all the drivers, and this time it was only about the experience saving fuel, I think.
Good. Is there any races coming up that you're looking forward to with the 8 race schedule? Is there one track that you look at and go, that's my favorite?
No, to be honest, this one is it is my favorite track. I love Road America, and yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Well, it definitely shows in how well you ran. Congratulations on taking the win. Would you like to thank anybody before we let you go celebrate?
Yeah, special thanks to I'm sorry, to Bradley Carroll. He told me I didn't have a lot of time to practice, and he told me a few tips that helped me a lot about saving fuel, especially. So special thanks to him.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Agustin, and we look forward to seeing you for the rest of the season. You definitely look like you're going to be a contender for the rest of the season. Congratulations.
Thank you. I hope so.
Thank you. All right, and now we've got one more interview with somebody that I know pretty well. This guy I've known for probably, 20 years, Billy?
Can you got a copy of me?
Yep. You're there, Billy.
Yeah, at my age, yeah, dinosaurs know who I am.
Well, Billy, congratulations on winning the first race of the season in the amateur class here at Road America. How did your race go for you, buddy?
Oh, man. First of all, I got to thank everybody. I like to thank the sponsors of the league, Buttkicker, Sim Motion, Rogue Energy, KGL Sim Racing, and WC91 Liveries for coming on board. I know for one thing, I know Rocket Designs, who paints my cars, he's going to have to do me a Depends paint job next race because I'm sweating like a dog. But it went well. I made a mistake near the end of the race. It kind of threw me off a little bit trying to get underneath a car that was just... He was doing good. It's just I went underneath him. He was a little bit farther back in the pack, and I made that mistake and almost just threw it out the door. But it went well. Again, I can't thank everybody. Empire Racing, Scott Kimbrough, that has a lot of belief and that's helped me out every minute of the day. I mean, to get me through this level. So I'd like to thank you, Mike, coming on board because you're Empire Racing, great announcing. But before I talk about all that, man, all I can say is thank all these guys. And man, I can't thank Scott Kimbrough enough for being my mentor.
Hey, Billy, no crying, okay? There's no crying on the podium, buddy, okay?
64 years old, dude. I'm shaking like a leaf still. It ain't crying. I'm happy, man. I'm so happy. I never thought I'd ever win a race. Never, ever.
You know what? I'm proud of you, buddy. You did an awesome job. But towards the end of the race, it looked like you had to make another pit stop. So were you that close on fuel that you needed to make another stop? And then after your pit stop, it looked like Dre got ahead of you, and you made a dive bomb move coming down into, what was that, about turn 6 or 7, and just surprised him, I bet.
Yeah, I was about, I was a little bit about a little more than a half gallon, 3/4 gallon shy of going another lap, and I'm not good at saving. One thing at a time. One step forwards is about all I can do is chewing gum, and walking is pretty tough for me. So now I got to learn how to save fuel. But yeah, it was. I just tried to play smart and hit my marks like I've been taught lately over the last 6-7 months now, and so yeah, I mean, I'm lucky, man. You don't know how lucky I am to win one.
No, you know what, Billy? I've been telling you for years how good you really are, and this just proves to it that you really do have the stuff. Congratulations, Billy. I'd ask you if you wanted to thank anybody, but you already thanked all of America and everybody else watching the broadcast. So thank you so much, Billy. It was fun watching you race, and congratulations on your win. Go celebrate with the guys from Empire.
Thank you, and thank you for all your help, my friend. Have a good day.
Buddy. Thank you. That was my good friend Billy Bowerman. I've known Billy probably close to 20 years from racing RC cars and whatnot, and he's always been one guy that's always harder on himself than he needs to be, and that just proves that how special this league is to some people. And for him to come out and win an amateur race in this first season 2 opener, that's just special, and it warms my heart to hear him say that.
I mean, he was, I thought he was going to cry too. It was a lovely interview there, and a lovely insight into his race and everybody's race, in fact. And Mike, what an opening race that was. I mean, unfortunately, we had a few technical issues, so we couldn't bring you the start. But even so, I mean, the racing, the action, it was all so good. How do you sum that amazing race up?
Well, they waited for the action for us to get everything squared away. So I think the league did a great job, because all the action happened later on in that race. But I did definitely jinx us and say that everybody was doing so good, and then all of a sudden all heck broke loose, and it was just crazy.
It certainly was. I mean, you got to feel for Shane Larson, don't you? I mean, that was not how he would have wanted his championship to get off to. His defense, I should say. Well, if you are interested in a little bit more racing, then this Thursday, the Spec 5 World Tour heads to Silverstone Legacy. And then Sunday, we are back in, well, I'm back in the commentary booth with the XSLR. And we are at the USA International Speedway in the 2008 Silverado trucks. This Sunday, the WSRL Endurance Series is coming to you from Road America. And we have LMP2s, GT3s, and a new addition to the WSRL roster, GT4s. Next Monday, XTC returns as well as they head to Watkins Glen. But if you can't wait and you really just want to see some more WSRL action, then we will be back from Road Atlanta. Of course, we have AMS, the American Muscle Car Racing from Mid-Ohio at the same time. But wow, what a race we have had today. My name has been Sebastian Bosher-Williams. Alongside me in the commentary booth has been Mike Braun, and Adam Thompson doing a superb job as always on production. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back in 1 week's time, as I mentioned, as the championship heads to Road Atlanta.